What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Think Outside the BlueBox podcast. I am Anthony Rivera, the lead videographer and editor here at BlueBox Digital, and today I have a very special guest. His name is Alan Lazaros. He is the president and CEO of the Next Level University, and I'm going to kind of let him kind of introduce himself and tell you what NLU is all about. Alan, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me. It seems like quite the production, which is always a breath of fresh air. I really appreciate it. And then in terms of thinking outside of the box, I think we will find that has always been the case with me. I think as I progress and I get older and older and older, I often joke, I say, I'm 35, hoping to hit puberty at 36.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean? Because I look 15, so I always got to say that. It's like, who's this guy who thinks he knows about life at 15 years old, right? But
what kind of experiences have you had to tell me, kind of guide me?
Yeah, exactly. I got to get my credibility up here.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
old now, right? So, no, but in the last 35 years, I've learned that I very, very, very much think differently, more than I ever thought. And I've been doing a lot of blogging lately, and in my blog, I've been revisiting my past, sort of rewatching the movie of my own life, and I'm creating a book as well from that blog. And so, for anyone out there who has written a book or intends to, you need to revisit your story. You need to try to understand it. And it's like rewatching the movie of your own life. It's like when you watch a movie as a kid, like Finding Nemo, I saw it when I was a kid, and then I saw it again as an adult. I'm like, oh, I didn't understand that. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand. Oh, that's
It
different.
means
Okay,
so
interesting.
much more, yeah.
Means so much more. And so the same deal. And yeah, I'm grateful to be here. I'm honored. Thank you so much for having me, especially the Think Outside the Box thing, because that is very, very, very exponentially clearer to me that I've always been thinking outside the box.
Yeah, no, and that's why I wanted to bring you on, man, because I read your bio, and there's some crazy stuff that I want to hit, but I want to jump right into the Next Level University and what that is, what you do with that, and then we'll kind of go to the origin of where you kind of started with that.
Perfect. So the Next Level University, well, I'll tell my story first, and then I'll bring that into...
Yeah, no, perfect.
The first thing I want to share, I always do this because it's so important too, because I remember at the beginning of my sort of personal growth journey, for lack of better phrasing, I would listen to podcasts and I would hear these people tell their stories, and they said it so articulate and it feels like it all made sense and they connected it all. And so what I want to say first and foremost is that while I was going through and growing through all this, I did not understand it like this at the time. It's only in reflection that I've been able to sort of piece the narrative together to really understand it. Whereas at the time, it just feels like the struggle bus. When I was 2 years old, definitely born into adversity. I think life is inherently challenging. Mine has been particularly challenging. So my father passed away when I was 2 years old, when he was 28. So he was in a car accident at age 28. My mom was 31 at the time, and she was a stay-at-home mom. He was on the road doing sales, and that was their choice. And I had an older sister. She was 6. So it was me and my older sister and my mom didn't really know what to do after that. And so she ended up getting together with my stepfather. My stepfather's last name is Lazaros. So my real last name is actually McCorkle.
Oh, okay.
You, in the opening, you asked me how to pronounce it. And for anyone out there who is Greek or has a Greek last name, they know that they look at me and then they see my last name and they go,
Wait a minute.
yeah, wait a minute. You're not a Lazarus, sir. So there's the identity crisis to begin with. No, so when I was 7 years old, I took my stepfather's last name. My stepfather was in the picture from age 3 to 14. So the first thing to understand that I didn't understand until my 30s when I started doing therapy is we sort of didn't talk to my birth father's side of the family. And it was my dad's name's John. My birth father's name is John. It was Jim, Joe, John, Jane, Joan, Jeanette. Big Irish Catholic family, that kind of thing. Okay. Once my father passed away and my mom got with my stepfather, and they didn't get along well. And that's saying it very nicely.
Wow.
We sort of didn't talk to my birth father's side because we were sort of pretending, for lack of better phrasing, to be a family. So I changed my name to Lazarus. My sister does as well. And at 14, my stepfather leaves. When he left, he took his family with him. I'm 35 now, still to this day, never seen any of them.
No way.
So, yeah, gone. My stepfather leaves, and he takes his entire extended family with him and 90% of the income.
Wow.
So I call the 3 to 14 with my stepfather. I refer to that part of my life now as boats and BS.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is he was the hunting, fishing, deep sea fishing. We had a yacht. We had motorcycles, we had snowmobiles. It was the 90s, so everyone was winning, right? Back in the 90s, everybody was just, the economy was booming, .com bubble. And he worked for AGFA, which hospital computers, so he was doing very well. Everyone was doing very well back then, which again, I didn't know as a kid, but now in hindsight, it's like, whoa, right?
Yeah.
So I got Xbox, Dreamcast, all these early Christmas presents. We did very, very well. And I wanted, my dream since I was 10 years old was to go to Worcester Polytechnic Institute. Have you ever heard of WPI?
No, I haven't.
Okay, it's kind of like a mini MIT. There's
Okay.
a joke there, friends don't let friends go to MIT. It's sort of like they pit each other against each other, right? So
Nice. It's a
one of the
rivalry.
best, yeah, rivalry. One of the best tech schools in the world, also one of the most expensive. So my dream was to go to WPI. My uncle Merle was the track and field coach there. The field is actually still named Norcross Field. Merle Norcross,
no
my
way.
uncle. So my father passed away. We don't talk to his side of the family really. My stepfather leaves, takes his family with him and 90% of the income. He gets the yacht and the apartment building. We get the house and the dog. Same time, my sister moves out. She moves in with her older boyfriend because I'm 14 at the time. She's 17.
Wow.
Understandable why she moved out. On top of that, my mom and her sister get into it. Big fight. My aunt Sandy ostracizes us from her entire side of the family. So, brother, I didn't know this until my 30s.
You're like completely isolated from everybody that you've ever known.
Brother, until I did therapy in my 30s, I had no idea. Because I don't know if it's not like I blocked it out. I mean, maybe I did, not consciously. But by the time I'm 14 years old, I've lost 3 families and my sister moved out. It's just me and my mom alone in that house. I get free lunch at school now because we're so broke.
Wow.
I shop at Salvation Army and thrift stores for my clothing. And I'm going to go to WPI. I go from I can't wait to get in and go to I don't even know if I can go even if I do get in. And so after that, I just bootstrapped. I did the only thing I knew how to do, which is aim higher, work harder, get smarter.
I think that's what it is, man, is that because you were so young, it became your normal, right? So it like you didn't realize that was not normal until later on that somebody kind of pointed it out, your therapist, I'm assuming. But
yeah, not just that, but the podcast. So
Yeah.
you interview people and you learn and I coach people. And so that's the best part. It's a little side tangent. The best part about being a coach or a therapist, I'm a coach, not a therapist, but like I'm just not licensed. So
Yeah,
I do.
yeah.
I think therapists do coaching and coaching do. Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
So, but I'm a coach, so I'm allowed to do what I do. But anyways, you think these are you problems when in reality, these are human problems. And it's not until you coach. I just surpassed my 5,000th coaching session a couple months ago. I track them, big numbers guy. And you realize this is the human condition. And when you have the whole bell curve, you know where you fall on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't realize how devastating, for lack of better phrasing, my childhood was until later on. Because
Wow.
and back then we were subconsciously hiding it. But, we wanted to pretend. Even now, it's scary on a public medium to share this. I mean, what if my stepdad's listening? What if my mom's listening? What if my sister's listening? Would they be okay with me sharing this stuff? I don't know.
It's your truth.
I mean, I think so, but it's
your
my truth. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that you want to talk about another level of courage. It's not been easy to get to this place, right? And that's for anyone out there listening. I want to make that as clear as possible. I'm sharing this now, but it took me 35 years to get to a place where I can comfortably share this stuff.
Wow.
It took me 35 years to get to a point where I even understood it enough to share. And so life's that journey. So 14 years old, sister moves out, ostracized from 3 families, completely broke. Don't even know how I'm going to go to college. And I just bootstrapped. I got straight A's in high school. I got what's called the President's Award. So behind me on YouTube recently, brother, someone said he printed all these out. These are all fake. It's funny. My business partner was so mad. It's like, dude,
It's
whatever.
all right, yeah.
I don't care. Yeah. He's like, I'm going to print out a couple of mine, What was it? I think it was a bass fishing at Harvard, I feel. My degree,
Nice.
We're funny. So yeah, haters, it is what it is.
It is.
But
what it
anyways,
is.
so
if you have haters, that means you made it. So take that as a compliment.
I know. Yeah. And you're probably helping, you're going to get kisses on one side, punches on the other. It is what it is.
Exactly, yeah.
So the President's Award behind me, signed by George W. Bush. And basically you have to get straight A's every report card for every year. So that's 16 report cards straight. And I didn't know this at the time either, but academics was just, everything's come fairly easy to me on the academic professional development side. When it comes to the emotional, personal trauma side, not easy at all. And I think all of us are sort of righty and lefty. We can get into that later, but I was definitely righty, professional development, but not internally developed or emotionally mature. And it's not till later I started to bring that part up, right? The IQ, EQ thing.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, fast forward, I get all the scholarships I can. I get all the financial aid I can. Fortunately, when you do really well, you get financial aid in Massachusetts and in the US. So I got to go. I got in and I got to go. Holy crap.
To your preferred school.
Yeah, to my favorite, first choice.
Nice.
First choice, which was awesome. And did computer engineering, which was brutal. Oh my God, it was brutal, right? And then I did master's in business, which I thought was easy, but now I realize it's easy because business is my natural.
That's your knack.
So now I get my MBA computer engineering and now I'm on my way. Corporate. Let's go. And my dream was to be a Fortune 50 CEO of a tech company like my hero, Steve Jobs. I used to not share that because people think I'm arrogant. Whatever. That was my dream.
I see the Steve Jobs right behind you there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Only the people crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Oh, I love that.
So, yeah. And again, everyone's a warning or an example. So a little disclaimer. He was my hero. He's an example when it comes to what you can accomplish in this life, but he's a warning for being a little bit of a dick.
Yeah.
So, and it's
I think just as a side note, I think you kind of have to be a bit of a dick to reach the heights that he did, because if not, then it's a little tougher because people are constantly trying to drag you down. Your haters, obviously. Yeah. So if you're not a bit of a dick, I think it kind of hinders you a little bit when you want to reach those types of levels.
I appreciate the candor because that has been my question to myself for the last, this is a little side tangent, but for the last 15 years, at least, how do I achieve that level without being hated like he was, without being emotionally unaware or unavailable to the people that I care about? And so, and also, how do I not take my health for granted? I mean, come on, right? 57 years old, obviously didn't take his health seriously.
Yeah.
And I know that's what that is. So how do you be a better leader than him, but also have the ferocity to achieve at that same level? And I'm not certain that you can do it. We'll see. I'm trying.
Yeah. It's finding warmth. The balance. Yeah.
Yeah. It's finding the harmony between strength and warmth. It's not easy. And I have a 21-person team now that are mostly emotionally heart-driven people. And it's interesting because I know in one way I'm the leader because I'm a computer engineer thinker. But what's interesting is that I'm a statistical anomaly in terms of the way I think, which is why I'm the leader. But that also is the biggest blind spot ever because I have no idea what other people value. Like they care about their birthday. Like I don't even care about my own birthday.
I don't either.
Right? Yeah, genuinely, right? So and again, it's like I don't want you to feel judged for that you care about your own birthday, but I don't even care about mine. You think I'm going to remember yours, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
And so that's the weird thing is how do you lead with who you authentically are and simultaneously value what other people value? It's this whole weird thing that we can get into if you want to, but back to the thing, I get my computer engineering MBA, I'm off to the races. I go to tech companies, iRobot, Oz Development, Sensata Technologies, Tyco Safety Products, Simplex Grinnell. I was in LA for a time. I actually had an interview at SpaceX, and then I ended up coming home before the interview because I had some family stuff going on. But then I came home, eventually ended up at a company called Cognex. Their motto is work hard, play hard. I used to say work hard, play harder. So the part of the story I haven't shared yet is alcohol. Alcohol and drugs and partying were such a huge part of my life because I grew up in an environment where that was what my mom and stepdad were about. My mom and my stepdad had they just loved having fun. Everything was about fun. Vacations and ski trips and bonfires and parties and motorcycles and boats. And it was just pleasure-centered paradigm is what I refer to it, which is just living it up. But what people, and on the surface, that looks awesome. And it is on the surface, but behind the scenes, it's really, really terrible. So you see the party, you don't see the hangover, right? And that's the analogy. So I grew up in that and I didn't know any different. Again, my normal was not normal and I didn't know that it wasn't normal. And so I had an alcohol problem for sure. 26 comes and at this point, I'm a 1% earner. I went from 65 to 85, 85 to 105, 105 to 125, 125 to 180, working for a company called Cognex. inside sales engineer, started a team there, and then was promoted to outside sales engineer. And now I'm managing Massachusetts, Vermont, and Connecticut, selling industrial automation equipment into manufacturing facilities. Cognex does machine vision, which is essentially the eyes of the robotics. Simplest way to explain it, but it's actually pretty techy. I'm 26 and I get in my own car accident. So at this point, not taking my health seriously, definitely not fulfilled, achieved a lot of my goals and dreams. I have a lot of money coming in. I'm a 1% global earner, not net worth, earner. By the time I'm 24 years old, I pay off $84,000 worth of debt in a single year.
Wow.
And I have 150 grand in an investment account I bought a lot of Cognex. I bought a lot of tech companies. I just was like, okay, these tech companies are obviously going to win because that's where we're headed in the global economy. And I'm going to be a part of that. So we did it. And apparently all that's weird, but I didn't know it was weird. You know what I mean? I tell these stories to my business partner. He's like, dude, who cancels an interview at SpaceX? I'm like, dude, I didn't even know that wasn't normal. Yeah. I don't even. He's like, dude, you got to tell those stories. I'm like, I don't know if I want to. I feel like everyone's going to think I'm an arrogant butthole. So anyways, I never used to tell the investment account. I never used to tell the 84 grand in 1 year. I was so proud of that. Wow. You pay off 84 grand worth of school debt in a single year. That was like, I was so proud of that. So the point of that though, I bought a car called I used to call it the Tank, 2004 Volkswagen Passat, $5 grand cash. I was big on saving money, no expenses, tons of income, right? That was just my weird, no loans, you know the deal. Fast forward, that car saves my life. I'm up in New Hampshire with my little cousin playing Call of Duty. Go to TGI Fridays. I'm supposed to yield. I don't because the snowbank's covering the yield sign. It's this bad dark night intersection. End up on the wrong side of the road. Huge Mack truck in front of me, big lights, 10 feet in front of me. Now, I had that moment of there's no possibility. No chance. This is it. This is the end. There's no chance this isn't the end. It was not a Mack truck. It was a lift-kitted pickup truck. One of those like lift-kitted pickup trucks that's like obnoxiously lifted off the ground. The old me wouldn't have said obnoxious, but it was obnoxious. The Tank, a German engineered steel trap of a Volkswagen Passat. This car was a heavy tank of a car. I used to call it the Tank, and that car totally saved my life. So airbags did deploy. Cousin hurt his knee. I hurt my face on the airbag, but physically we were okay.
So if it wasn't a Volkswagen, you probably would not be here today.
Truth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm convinced
those things
that.
are made like tanks, seriously.
Yeah, if it was not for that car, man, if I was in what was my car after that? I think I bought another car like really cheap after that. It was like a 2009 Subaru or something. I like heavier cars, and it makes sense too because circle back to my father. My father passed away when he was 28 in a car accident, and I've seen pictures of his car. So when I'm 26, I get in my own car accident, and the pictures don't look very different.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have an intellectual relationship with death. Mine has always been more than that. I've experienced it as a kid. I witnessed the ripple effect of, my mom and my sister and what that did. And my stepdad knew my dad. And I've heard stories about John through the grapevine, my dad. And so I got the second chance my father never had. And truthfully, I didn't know. I didn't know how much trauma I had. I didn't know how emotionally disconnected I was. I didn't know how much my drinking was a problem. I didn't know that I was an achiever that was always focused on improvement, but I wasn't focused on self-improvement. Unconsciously, I didn't even know. And that's obvious now. So here I am 9 years later, because I'm now 77 years old. I'm kidding. I'm now 35. But here I am 9 years later, and that's when I flipped the script. So 26 years old, I get in the car accident, and physically I'm okay, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I'm absolutely shattered, phoenix burnt down fully. And new Alan rises from the ashes. So after that, I got my health in order. I started taking care of my fitness. I stopped drinking. It took me a long time to stop drinking because weddings. I kept falling off at weddings. It took me 5 years to quit, but I did. Now I'm coming up on 5 years sober. No drugs, no alcohol, no pornography. I just slowly just developed myself. Instead of being an achiever at the expense of my self, my core values, my character, my fulfillment, I flipped the script and I said, you know what? I got all the success and I'm not fulfilled. So I flipped the script and I went all the way past broke. I got super fulfilled, but I was broke.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So I started a podcast called Conversations Change Lives. My business partner, Kevin, had a podcast at the time called the Hyper Conscious Podcast. I was his first guest. He was my first guest. We started teaming up. We had the worst podcast name ever of all time. The Hyper Conscious Podcast meets Conversations Change Lives. And then and we said that every time. Yeah, it was brutal. And then eventually we went all in on the Hyper Conscious Podcast. And then 3 or 4 years later, we rebranded to what is now known as Next Level University. How to help you level up your life, love, health, and wealth. And now we have a 21-person team and 22 departments. We have our own charity for Boys Without Fathers because Kevin and I both didn't have a father growing up. And now it's become this incredible thing. But it all started with the Phoenix fully burning down, no ego after mortality, and just getting obsessed with self-improvement. And the truth of the matter is, and this is the part I need to say, success and fulfillment are not the same skill sets. I know people that are deeply fulfilled in their real life, but they're not successful. And I know people that are wildly successful. Like I can name at least 10 millionaires that I know personally that are not fulfilled. And I'm telling you, you need both. And unfortunately, we live in this world where we have these really professionally developed resume, cover letter, get the career-driven, improvement-oriented, but not self-improvement-oriented people who are not heart-driven, but are super numbers-oriented, like I was, professionally developed to the nines. But they get divorced and they take better care of their Porsche than their family. And then you've got these heart-driven, wonderful, well-rounded, holistic human beings that are such good people, and they do not win in the economy. And it bothers me. I'm telling you that, and so which one was I, right? 2 guesses. I was the professionally developed, emotionally immature one who didn't work on his trauma and his inner work. And so if you want a coach, you need a therapist. If you want a therapist, you need a coach. Because success matters too. Fulfillment and success both matter. Fulfillment is inner game, inner work. Fulfillment is loving who you are when you're alone by yourself. Success is career, baby. You got to have a successful, meaningful career and doing work that you love. And the economy is built on what you do for others. People are like, well, I charge $10,000 for my coaching. It's like, unless you have a line out the door of people trying to pay you that's too expensive.
Yeah. Who are you going to help with that? The rich?
Yeah, well, exactly. And the rich, by the way, they don't look at you as the credible one. And why? Because you're brand new. I started coaching for free. Now I have 21 people I coach, well over a 6-figure coaching practice, but I started for free. And people made fun of me for that. Right? And now we have a $500,000 business. So start small, and it takes so much humility, because think about how much status I had with computer engineer, MBA, top 1% earner, 150 grand in an investment account. I went all the way past zero, brother. Wow. And I was healthy and I was happy and I was productive and I was fulfilled, but I was broke. No status whatsoever.
I think the like you said, kind of our society is built upon the superficial, like boasting almost of the superficial, right? So on social media, you see how good people look, how much money they have, and all the good parts of them, but they don't obviously, expose their interpersonal struggles with drugs and alcohol and personal trauma, that kind of stuff, because that's not sexy, right? So that kind of gets pushed to the bottom. So when these kids are growing up on social media, that's all they see is this unattainable. It might be attainable, but it's not fulfilling, like you said. It's all superficial. Picture. Exactly, they're only getting half the picture.
That's actually Brad Pitt storming the beach of Troy. That's actually a green screen. Yes. And he trained with the best trainers for 6 months straight. That's all he did to get in that shape, right? And us as little boys or little girls, we see this. And by the way, he's 42 in that film.
Oh, wow.
Right? So how many years did he have to get to that place? So, you ever see one of those movies when you were a kid and it's a high school kid, but he's actually 32.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, I'm like this prepubescent little kid going, I want to have a girlfriend like that one day. And how come this guy can dunk a basketball and is jacked, and I'm like 13 and I still haven't hit puberty at 36, right? So it's the real stuff. And my book might be called this. The Unsexy Fundamentals. I'm thinking that might be the title. I'm not really sure about
Oh,
that
I
yet,
love
but
it.
the Unsexy Fundamentals, which is the shiny stuff that you see, the picture in front of the home. This is a perfect example. Emilia and I have this awesome condo, and we never took a picture in front of it with like the Facebook congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
You see that photo, right? You don't with us, but you see people take that photo. But you don't see the mortgage payment. You don't see how much debt they're in, right? So I try to flip the script, and this is really hard to do because most people are still hoodwinked, for lack of better phrasing, by the glitz and the glam. But I like to look at the naked truth. I like to literally and figuratively like look in the mirror. Like, where are you insecure? Where are you not courageous? Or AKA cowardly? So real quick here, there's two types of cowardice. There's social cowardice, and then there's competence cowardice. I was always very courageous with trying for the job, or showing up to the interview, or show up to the speech, or apply to that job, or do that resume, or whatever, like apply to that school, go in, give it a shot. But I was such a coward socially, and so I was not vulnerable. I was not honest. I was not.
You're putting on this facade that you thought other
Yeah.
people wanted to see out of you.
True vulnerability for me is actually saying I don't have that much self-doubt. Self-belief is something that I've built my whole life, and a lot of what I say, and many of your listeners, if they're watching or listening, you might have villainized me already. Who is this overly arrogant, cocky know-it-all? Truth is, I'm scared to tell you that I don't struggle with self-doubt that much. But I'll tell you what, I've been such a coward in my relationships because I was so scared to be the real me. Some of the people that are really successful in the self-improvement space, they don't even know that they have high self-belief. Like,
It
Will
just
Smith
comes
has
so
no
natural.
idea what it's like not to believe in himself. The dude has no clue. He has no idea that that's not normal.
Do you think that might come from the trauma though? Because he's like, I've
Of
read his
course.
biography.
I read this book too. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course it does. You gain something from that trauma. There's a part of you that can run through a wall now.
Yeah.
And it's not a coincidence that he had what he had with his father. Trauma does something to you that I don't fully understand yet. It's
It
almost
rewires
like
you.
it
It
wires
rewires your
you
brain.
as, it's almost like when you go through tremendous, consistent, chronic adversity. There's two types of adversity in the world. There's the adversity life throws at you, which it's not your fault you had an alcoholic parent. It's not your fault you were beaten, but it is your responsibility to do something about it. Okay, so number one is life throws adversity at you. That's the accidental car accident, the father passes away, the whatever. But the other type of adversity is having huge goals. And I playfully joke, I chose both. If you want to have a ripped 8-pack, do you have any idea how much adversity you're going to have to proactively face to create and sustain that?
Oh, yes.
Now imagine you have massive goals and dreams. You believe in yourself at level 10 and don't even know it. You don't have no idea, no one else does, because you've never known any different.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, when you do achieve those things, you make everyone else insecure and they lash out. And then your response to that, your trauma response to that, is aim higher, get smarter, work harder. What does that do? Make it better or worse?
A little of both.
Yeah. It makes it even worse. Next time you see them, they lash out even more.
Yeah.
I used to think, oh, well, once I'm a better person, once I'm more virtuous, once I quit drinking, once I handle my junk, once I heal my trauma, people won't hate me. No. If anything, it's gotten worse.
Mm-hmm. That's why entrepreneurs call that lonely at the top syndrome, because the higher you go, the lonelier it gets, because you will get that type of feedback for sure.
I don't know if I'll ever fully understand why people are like that. I've never been like that. I have such reverence for achievement, but maybe they're jealous. Or Kevin says this, my business partner has taught me a lot. He says they just don't believe in themselves. And rather than admit that, they'd rather just hate on you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's their own insecurities. They're projecting their own insecurities into you. I remember when I first started this business, I got so much hate for it because I quit my job for it. And everybody was like, what are you doing? You had a good job. You had a good career. You've worked your entire life to be where you are. And now you're just letting it all go to do this other thing. And they didn't see it.
I got the same thing. And by the way, that's the nice way to put it, my friend. Yeah, it was brutal, wasn't it? I thought you cared about me. Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
I
always
thought this was my life.
and it's always the people closest to you that are the harshest. And it does come from a place of love, but it also comes from a place of fear, is because they weren't able to fulfill their own dreams, and they see it as such an unattainable thing that once you have this attainable thing that that you've worked your entire life for, it's like they can't see themselves giving that up to start fresh, to start completely something new that you actually love and feel fulfilled.
Yeah, it's a trauma response. There's 4 trauma responses that I never understood one of them, and it's ironic because the one I didn't understand was the one I did.
The one, of course.
Yeah. Fight, flight. We all know those ones. Fight and flight. Freeze and fawn. Fight is what happened with some of your loved ones. Of they fought to keep you. No, don't do that. Why would you start your own business? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, whoa. Why does it matter to you? So like, it's going to be fine. Relax. Right. I got a lot of that. Those are the bullies of the world. The aggressors. I call them the aggressors. They will just whammo. Like anytime you are yourself, they'll just whack you down because they're deeply insecure. Yeah. They are so deeply bullies are just deeply insecure human beings.
That's exactly what it is. And
they're wildly unfulfilled, and they don't believe in themselves.
Yep.
I want to share this with everybody. I think this will be a big breakthrough. This is Think Outside the Box. Why would someone with level 12 confidence, those people that portray confidence?
Yes.
Every listener, think of someone who just portrays so much confidence. Yes, I am. Why don't they have any goals? Why would someone with level 10 confidence have level 2 goals?
It's a facade.
It's not real.
It's not real.
It's not real. Yeah, they don't actually believe in themselves. That's why they have to knock other people down in order to feel good about themselves. Okay, so back to the trauma responses. So that's fight. Those are the aggressors and the bullies. And if there's one thing I hate in this world, it's bullies. Next Level University, we have a private Facebook group called Next Level Nation. We have like 730 or so people in there. And the only people that ever get kicked, bullies.
Are bullies, yeah.
People who are disrespectful, they have to go. Like, just get out of here. What are you doing?
It's like you said. It's like you said earlier. It's a self-fulfillment for them. It's like they feel better about themselves when they do that to other people. They're trying to bring everyone else down to their own level.
Yeah, two ways to have the tallest building. One is you put in the hard work to build a building. The second one is what? You tear down everyone else's building.
You tear down everybody's building to your level.
So if you have people like that in your life, you have to sail away.
Cut them off.
Have the courage to sail away. And that's the social courage. If I could go back and talk to my younger self, I would say, Alan, your friends are such bullies. My girlfriend told me that. She said when she first met me, I was 29, 30, 30th birthday. She said, Alan, I watched you get made fun of by your own friends and then join them in making fun of you. She said, you are 100 times more than all of them, and that's why they're making fun of you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't even notice. Here's a weird insight. If you are in California and there's an earthquake, you're like, oh, no big deal. 10,000 earthquakes a year. You come to Massachusetts, there's only 6 a year. If there was an earthquake right now, I'd be like, dude, we got to stop
There's
recording.
something wrong, yeah.
If your childhood was level 10 trauma, what are the chances you're going to notice a bully at level 2?
Yeah.
You're not even going to notice it.
Yep.
You might be so used to being treated so unfairly and be disrespected so much that you might not even notice it. Okay, so that's the aggressor, number 1. Fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Fight is the aggressor. Flight, these are the avoiders. The avoiders, they just avoid everything challenging. Yeah. And we've all been guilty of all 4, by the way, including me. Okay, so that's why I can call this out, because I've been guilty of all of these.
You can't grow if you're not challenged. So.
Yeah, you just avoid it. We all do it with our taxes. It's like my CPA must think I hate her, right? It's funny. It's like Nikki, she like emails me. She's so sweet. I'm just like avoiding it. It's like, I'm not avoiding you, Nikki. I just don't want to do it, right? All right, and then the next one is freeze and fawn. Freeze is you just disassociate. That's the numb. You just numb out. Delusion, distortion, you just delete files. You delete memories. I have memories that were deleted because they were so traumatic.
Wow.
I think a lot of us do, right? And then the last one is fawn. This is the one I didn't know about. Fawn is the appeaser. So you've got the aggressor, you've got the avoider, you've got the anxious. Freezing is just you do nothing. You stay anxious. And then you've got the appeaser. Don't poke the bear.
The people
Okay.
pleaser.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. If and everyone will resonate with this, if you had an overly dominant caregiver, who here can think of someone where as long as that person was good, everything was going to be okay? And so you just unconsciously conditioned yourself to like, okay, is that person good? Is that person okay? And then as an adult, you're still doing it.
Yeah. It's a
Right?
trauma response.
Trauma response, it's conditioned.
Yep.
And so now you bring that into your intimate relationship. Your intimate partner might be a wonderful human being. They're having a bad day. All of a sudden you're fawning, right? And now you got to work through all that stuff. So those 4 trauma responses, the fawning one is appeasing. And eventually you appease, you become a martyr, and then you overswing, and now you're the aggressor. And you become the very villain that you always got hurt by.
Wow. That's such
a
good
unfortunately,
point.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah. You became the aggressor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. I was like, oh my God, I just became, whoa. And then I quit drinking after that.
Nice.
Yeah. So
today's episode is proudly presented by Audible. Whether you're on a quest to broaden your horizons or eagerly searching for your next captivating summer read, Audible has the world's most extensive collection of audiobooks and podcasts. For a limited time, we invite you to sign up for a 30-day complimentary trial, which includes a free audiobook that's yours to keep, even if you choose not to continue with the subscription. Visit audible.blueboxdigital.com or scan the QR code on your screen to start listening today.
We also now offer subscriptions with perks. You can get these episodes without ads, behind the scenes, private live streams, and so much more. Head over to support.blueboxdigital.com or scan the QR code on the screen to sign up. Help the show grow and become part of the Blue Box family. Thanks in advance for your support. Now back to the show.
I love your story. Let's go back a little bit to your car accident. When you woke up, did you wake up in the hospital? Like, how did that go down?
So I physically, we were okay, but I was so disassociated. Like, I didn't know what to think or what to do.
Yeah, you were in shock.
And then I was in an armchair drinking whiskey after it. My little cousin is 17, still invincibility complex. He was tweeting about it, totally fine.
Oh yeah.
I was messed up, but he also didn't have a dad who died in a car crash. So it was for me, it was that. And I had to reevaluate everything. So the best way I can describe it is I was just filled with so much remorse and regret. I was flooded with, what does that mean? Like, like if that was it, which it very easily could have been.
Mm-hmm. Like, what would have been the ramifications of that? Because you saw it, right, firsthand, what the ramifications and ripple effects were of somebody, that important in a family passing away because of a car accident. So it's like, were you thinking like, I would have left my family just high and dry,
Legacy is my number one core value, which is impact beyond one's own life. And at least that's my definition. I have it written on my desktop. Nice. A deep belief in creating a long-term positive impact far beyond one's own life. My dad's ripple effect was so powerful, positive and negative. Negative in the sense of we lost him so young. Positive in the sense that my mom said they had to shut down the town of Holden, kind of, because 600 people came to his.
Wow.
Yeah. So I heard stories about John, because here's the part of the story that I haven't shared yet is after my stepfather left, we reconnected with my birth father's side. And that was weird because they all looked at me like they were seeing a ghost. Because I looked just like my dad. Yeah, I looked and my mannerisms are similar and stuff, apparently. I mean, again.
Yeah, you would know. You would know.
My mom's like, oh, you said that just like your dad. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
Cool. Nice. Yeah. Well, was he as handsome as I am?
Yeah, right.
It's funny. But they welcomed us back. And that's been a trip too, because when you become aware of these trauma responses and inner work and internal family systems and modalities of therapy and coaching, and then you coach these people, you go back to old world. I use Lion King as an analogy, 1, because it's my favorite movie of all time, and 2, because most people have seen it. Simba runs away from the travesty of his father's death, and then he comes back and faces his past, metaphorically and literally.
And physically.
And then Uncle Scar was actually, he finds out the truth that he didn't kill his dad. But he's still acting like a little cub, even though he's this big lion now. He's still afraid of Scar, right? And so I think that's a metaphor for all of us of like, you got to go back and face your past, and you got to go back as this version and hold your ground as this version.
With that new perspective,
new perspective. And now you understand that you have a responsibility because he was running, Hakuna Matata is, don't worry about it. It's no big deal.
Yeah,
that
forget
doesn't
about
work.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
tried
horrible.
that, right? That was the drinking, the fun, the partying. Just forget about it. Hakuna Matata, it's all good. No, it's not, man. This sucks, right?
You can maybe try to forget about it, but that trauma is still going to be there, boiling and bubbling under the surface, and it's going to drive your relationships going forward. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you gotta face the hard stuff. And I think for some people, the hard stuff really is the success stuff. I think some people are so scared they're not going to be successful, and they gotta face that. Go for the interview, do the resume, get a coach, be humble, figure out the systems, learn how to be. Maybe you don't feel smart enough. For me, I never had that problem. I felt like I was naturally intelligent. But if that's your problem, if that's your kryptonite, we've all got a kryptonite. For me, it's social. I never felt like I fit in. I always felt like I thought differently. I always felt like everyone hated me for no reason. It felt like no reason. Kevin and I, we've learned so much from each other because we're such a mirror for each other. Kevin is the most likable dude ever. Everyone loves Kevin, but he never thought he was going to be super successful. I felt like success was fairly easy for me, but I never felt likable at all. And so he goes to a speech. We speak together on stage, and he's going, am I going to bomb? Is this going to be valuable at all? I'm going, is everyone in this room going to hate me?
The complete opposite.
Complete opposites. I'm not worried at all about what he's worried about. And so that's been such a mirror where I think that you're either afraid of your career sucking, or you're afraid that you're going to get hurt again when you fall in love. Kev isn't afraid of that at all. It's so interesting. Like he doesn't feel concerned about people not liking him. Even on the team, when someone lashes out, he's like, oh, it's all good. I'm super triggered. Like, what is happening?
Like,
and so we started to learn from each other. So the last piece here for that is when I go give a speech, and this is vulnerable to share for me, it's another thing I want to share. Vulnerability is different for everyone. Vulnerability means you're scared to share it. I'm not scared to share my weaknesses. I'll tell you every weakness under the sun. You want to know what I'm scared to share? That I've worked out every day for the last 2.5 years, and I haven't missed. And honestly, that wasn't that hard. That's so scary to share. How can you not hate someone who says that? Right? Especially while you're struggling to exercise. Yeah. But what if I told you at one point I drank and I wasn't exercising and I cried in the bathroom at the gym, and I left and I was watching Superman and I cried in the bathroom because his physique was so good and it was such a mirror for me. Wow. See, you're not going to villainize me when I say it like that. Here I am a decade later, 2.5 years in, me and my girlfriend have worked out. It's easy to villainize someone who's got it figured out. But when you've got something figured out, it's just as scary to share. It's almost like none of us can struggle and none of us can be too successful. We all have to be in this like lukewarm middle. It's like, well, I can't say that was easy for me, even though it was. And I can't say I'm struggling over here either. So let's all just fake middle, lukewarm, don't talk about anything real, right? The weather is different. Or I remember we were at Thanksgiving dinner and someone said, did you guys see Cher's hair? And I was like, oh my God. I'm sorry. I love all of the people that I went to Thanksgiving with. If any of you are listening, I can't. I have to just opt it out. I went to the kitchen. I can't talk about Cher's hair. I just don't care. There's no
it's
need.
Not important.
It's not important at all. And again, maybe you're villainizing me for that because small talk is something some people like. Maybe I'm a weirdo. I probably am. But when it comes to the speaking thing, my concern is not, am I going to be able to add value? I'm not concerned about that at all. I know that I can help everyone in this room think differently and build a bigger, better, brighter future. Every listener right now, I guarantee you listening to me, if you're really listening and not hating me, you'll build a bigger, better, brighter future. After this will be good. It's valuable, very valuable. I'm not questioning that. If you said, Alan, you need to give a speech in front of 10,000 people and you need to add value, I would say 10 out of 10, let's rock.
Let's do it.
If you said, Alan, you need all of those people to like you, that is literally impossible. I would immediately shrink. Look at the difference. Yeah. No confidence at all self-doubt. My confidence is in competence. It's not in social. I have no social confidence at all. Why? Because I've been lashed out at. And here's one thing I'm going to tell everybody. If you have high self-belief, you have been ripped a new one. If you have high self-belief, this is like the unsung, you may never hear this again. This is the secret. Pardon my French. If you have high self-belief, everyone will unconsciously tear you down because they have no idea that you're not arrogant like the person faking it.
Yeah. Yeah. All they see is what you present. So it's their trauma response to say, hey, this guy's a little too, arrogant. Let's kind of bring him down a little bit.
Too much. He's too much.
Too much.
And how do they know that you're not just another talker? Because statistically speaking, most people are. When we finally succeeded, right, in podcasting, because it's like, oh, you're a podcaster now and you're a bodybuilder now. It's like, these are for my friends. I spent like 2 years. I was 2 years, I swear, the first 2 years in entrepreneurship, it's like clawing out your own eyes.
Yeah.
It's so bad. And maybe it was worse for me. I don't know, because I actually was naive enough to think people wanted to see me succeed.
I think everybody is. I think everybody is, especially if you have like a good support system. But then once you are successful or achieve some level of success, that's when the claws come out.
Or the, hey, I always knew you'd make it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, even though in the beginning you were like the one that I heard through the grapevine was saying and not to mention, when do you need the support? When you're successful? No, you need it in the beginning when you're a nobody, right? When
you show the results, you can't fake results. So at that point, they can't help but to be supportive.
So you see, that now they believe you.
Yep.
So this is what happened to me, and this is another breakthrough insight for everybody. I would say things fully intending to do them. I won't say things unless I actually intend on it. Now, it doesn't mean I won't change my mind. But when I said we're going to create a successful podcast, I meant it, right? And then they're like, oh, yeah, awesome. Congratulations, right? Some people hate it. Some people pour into it. And then when you do it, they're like, oh my God, look what you did.
Amazing, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you really didn't think I was serious. You ever see that?
Until right now.
Yeah, exactly. And again, what that comes down to is most people really are looking day to day.
Yeah.
So in the future, when there's robots and flying cars and all that stuff, most people will be surprised. I was in the robotics industry with iRobot and stuff. So like when we have walking, talking robots, I'm not going to be like, whoa, what a total shocker. Other people will. Mm-hmm. Not everyone's a long-term thinker. And so every strength comes with a weakness. I've been a long-term thinker my whole life. So people that, when I say like in 10 years, X, Y, Z, they might be like, how do you know? How arrogant are you? When in reality, what if I'm actually calculating?
Yeah.
Looking at the past and see, right? So I said something, I think Tesla will, in the future, will be one of the most successful, if not the most successful car company in history. And I do believe that will probably happen. I'm not certain. I can't predict the future fully. But Kevin was like, dude, what? And I was like, well, it's fairly obvious if you look at the trends. Like, that's electric cars. That's where everything's headed. And Kevin's like, dude, no one knows that. And I was like,
really?
Well, what do you mean? He said, dude, that's a you thing. No one else is extrapolating that. And I'm like, okay, so science, technology, engineering, mathematics, business, finance, I study the economy, all that stuff. He's like, dude, that's all you stuff. When you have a strength, you have no idea, no one else does.
That is so true.
And then they're insecure. They don't want you to know. So you walk around thinking nothing of it. And you think everyone else thinks like you do because they're mirroring you.
Yeah.
So if you have high self-belief, everyone mirrors it and it's fake. When you ever have someone come to you and tell you a dream and then like 3 years later, you're like, what?
What happened? Yeah.
Yeah. It's because you have self-belief that they were mirroring to belong. All of us mirror to belong. So you dial down your self-belief. They dial theirs up. You think you don't have high self-belief because you're dialing it down unconsciously. They're dialing theirs up unconsciously. So you think everyone has the same self-belief you do. Yeah. And then 5 years go by and you go, what happened?
You're still exactly where you were 5 years ago.
I thought you were gonna, and then you did. And now what? Does the insecurity get better or worse?
Worse, way worse.
Do they puffer fish more or do they avoid you more? Right. So that's why social pain is such a thing. So last thing I'll end with, is your pain social or is your pain competence? Mine is social. All of my pain is social. I never felt like friends were very kind to me. I feel like I've always been lashed out at. I've never felt super likable or relatable. So social pain is where my trauma is. Competence, I feel good. I feel like I can go to the gym when I want. I feel like I can achieve my goals. I feel good about competence. Maybe you're the opposite. Maybe you're super relatable and people like you, but maybe your competence isn't that high. Work on whichever one is the one that has caused you the most pain, because we avoid pain, which creates more pain.
Yeah, and a lot of people have blind spots too, and it helps to have a coach or a therapist or somebody from the outside looking in, kind of pointing out like, look, this is why you reacted that way, or this is what you can do to achieve what you actually want to achieve. And that kind of goes into the NLU, if you want to talk a little bit about that and how people can get more information on that.
If you did enjoy this conversation, I tell Kevin this all the time. I say NLU stands for improvement and self-improvement. So there's external improvement of skill acquisition toward one's dreams and goals, and then there's self-improvement and inner work. At NLU, we're holistic. We do both. If you are intrigued by me or this conversation, you can check out Next Level University, our podcast, spelled just like it sounds. We have a website called nextleveluniverse.com. We've got monthly meetups we do every month for free. We have a book club. We have actually an app where you track habits. We've got a journal called the Dreamliner that helps you stay on track towards your dreams. We've got all kinds of cool stuff. If you're intrigued and are humble enough and courageous enough to take that next step, check us out, reach out. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, Alan Lazaros, AlanLazaros. You can Google my name. Please DM me. I answer all my DMs. Just please provide context because like all of us, I get a lot of spam messages. And thank you so much for having me. This was awesome. I really appreciate it. It's very clear to me that you're not a super insecure person because you've created a really safe space for me to really shine here and add some real value. So I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks again for coming on. And I always like to leave people with resources. So if you have any books or anything that kind of change your life and the way that you think, we'd love to hear it.
I appreciate what you're doing in the world, man. Honestly,
Absolutely.
Compound Effect. There's a book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Darren, I respect him and his work deeply. I do. But it's not because of him as the author. The book is just very honest. If I could go back in time, I would just slide that book across the table and give it to my younger self and just say, go fly,
Just leave
sir.
it. Yeah, just leave it on the table. Here you go.
Your goals and dreams are possible. They're just not possible in 2 months. Okay? The compound effect is small, seemingly insignificant choices compounded over time. Your life might have sucked. You might have had trauma and adversity like I did. You might be in the dark right now, but you can climb out step by step. And the compound effect is the way. Compound interest, compound development, compound improvement. Over time, you might blow your own mind with what you're capable of if you think long term. Nothing's going to happen in a month. Anyone can work out for a month. Nothing's going to happen. You're going to lose 2 pounds and then gain it all back. But if you can do it consistently, just a little bit each day, consistently over time, you can change not only your life, but the lives of countless others. So that book is the best book ever written, in my opinion.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on, man, and telling your story. And it's super, super inspirational. I've gotten a lot out of it. So again, I appreciate you coming on and kind of giving us this value. Thank you so much.
You are so incredibly welcome. This was an absolute pleasure. And keep doing what you're doing because anyone in this kind of conversation is going to benefit tremendously.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks again.